Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We're back home today, and we're coming to you live for episode 7 of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership powered by Beta Consulting Group. If you'd like to learn more about what we do at Beta Consulting Group, please visit our website, betaconsultinggroup.com, to learn about all of our services for the sales and marketing strategist looking out for you. Man, we've had a good week of shows so far. We had Nick Strober on yesterday. If you missed episode 6, be sure to go back and watch it because the guy's just an absolute stud. He's a top performer, had some great tips. And also on Monday, we had Jamin Alvarez, one of my good buddies, high energy, just such a good dude. Great week of sales content this week. And today's guest is no different, man. This guy is just phenomenal. If you've been following him on LinkedIn at all, you know that he's one of those guys that just really stands out. He's a unique breed. His famous saying is real is rare. He posts videos of himself doing cold calls, which I absolutely love. He puts himself out there. He's all about teaching and helping people grow and learning from his mistakes, learning from his successes. So I'm really excited to welcome to the program today my good friend, Michael Neme. Michael, what's up, brother? How are you?
What's going on, dude?
Man, first of all, we talked about this before we came on air. I love the background, man. That's solid. That is like full of you. You got the Rodman poster. Talk a little bit about why you went Rodman and not, Jordan or somebody else.
I mean, if that doesn't say me, misunderstood, right? I think it's just, that says enough, right? Misunderstood. He just got things done. He was, unapologetically himself. And that's me to a T.
Man, I love that. We need to talk more about that, about authenticity and just being true to yourself, because I think that's really the key to being somebody that people respect and they appreciate. So I definitely want to talk about that more later. When did we actually connect? I think that you're one of my pandemic friends. Like, did we connect when the pandemic started? Was that that's right? There's a lot of us, that created these relationships during the pandemic. I think that's pretty common. It's probably like April or May of 2020, something like that.
Something like that. I just remember. I think it was one of those. I think it was like with Mad Gaines. She had.
It was a Friday night. Yeah, the happy hours.
I think it was me, you, and some. I don't talk to him anymore, but like I ended up talking to this guy that I've never met until like the wee hours of the night. But something that always stood out to me was I always look for people that are in any type of setting the most quiet, right? And you didn't speak much, but when you spoke, it was it was just always something that stood. I think I told you that it stuck out to me that it was like, okay, if he speaks, I'm listening, right? So that's just the first time I remember ever being like, oh, who is this guy? So, but it was on one of those Mad Gaines Friday night specials or whatever she was doing.
Yeah, and I think I was building some shelves in my basement as well, or something like that. I was always kind of doing some work, kind of
get a gray hoodie on.
I did have, yeah.
As creepy as that sounds, but
good memory. No, like I only have gray. I got 3 gray hoodies, so there's a good chance that I have.
I'm not lying.
That's for sure. That's absolutely the truth. Raytown in Oregon, I got a bunch of different ones. But you know what's interesting about that is that when we were doing those happy hours, I don't know. I guess I recognized that I was in the room of really smart people, which is the kind of room you want to be in. Like for those of you out there who are thinking about growing as a leader, growing as a person, put yourself in rooms where people are way smarter than you, and then ask a question and shut up. And I think that's what I did is like I would just ask questions and I wanted to hear the answers. I wanted to learn. And so I think that was a powerful time for me just to hear from guys like you, from Cassandra, from other people in the industry that I'd never really met before, and to be able just to learn. So it was fun, man. I miss those. I feel like we should do those again.
Yeah.
That'd be a good time. Friday night drinking, just having a good. But back in the pandemic, back there, I think we were all just like desperate for connection, and we were desperate to have somebody to talk to and hang out with. So, like Friday night at 8:00, who's jumping on a Zoom call? But we did.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. We're all back out doing kind of normal things, which is great. So that's awesome. All right. So before we talk about sales, I got to talk about this. I mean, yesterday was National Women's Appreciation Day. I think that was the official name. Maybe I got that wrong. But anyways, you made a post yesterday about your mom and your story growing up, man, which is really neat. Talk a little bit about your mom's influence on your life and kind of how that has led you to this real is rare and being authentic, being your true self.
I mean, I was just born into it, right? I mean, it's a hard question to even really answer, but my mom don't know my real dad. It's no sob story, but since I was born, we lived with my grandparents while she was putting herself through school working, but we lived on the east side of Detroit, 7 Mile Maraw. So it was like a pretty bad neighborhood. And, just watching this, young woman, I mean, even before I could even really remember, but I guess you probably remember those things, just watching her just grind it out and build something of her life. And that's always stuck to me. And she's always made me, when I say is like, she never handed me a silver spoon. She could have definitely paid for my college, made me pay for my college. She just always, her mindset was to me, it was like, I need to know, or I need my son. If I die, that's what she said to me. If I die tomorrow, I need to know my son is going to be able to feed himself. Right. So it was like, I don't know. She just always put that on me. And it's just something that's stuck with me in my entire life. And about the real is rare. I think that, she just always encouraged me to just, even if she didn't like who I was, right? Or like, for instance, my mom hates tattoos, right? Like really hates tattoos, but it was like, she, I guess, appreciated it because it was like, that is who I am. Right. So just be yourself to the fullest. But, it's a tough question to answer. But again, I was bred into, the person I am today just because of my mom. I mean, I could speak days about how she impacted my life. So, I mean,
That's
everyone has
awesome, man.
that probably with their mother, but
Well, not everybody has a mother like that, though. I mean, kudos first of all to your mom for
yeah, she's a
grinding it
beast.
out and not making excuses of the situation that she found herself in and all that. But like that's so awesome, and just all the moms out there, single moms especially. I don't know how single moms do it. I really don't. It's absolutely tremendous. I mean, I'm fortunate to still be married. My wife and I work as a team, and that seems hard. I can't imagine doing it by myself. My parents divorced when I was 7.
Try raising
Like,
me too. You don't know me,
yeah,
but
throw Michael Neme into it, right?
she definitely had. I mean, her job was not easy, especially once I got a little
Yeah.
older. But
Well, my parents were divorced when I was 7. I lived with my dad. My mom, had my sister who was a little older than me. So they kind of did a single parent thing. And I just remember watching them as well grind it out. My dad, check this out. My dad, he would go work a full day. He was a local city truck driver, drove a box truck around Kansas City. And then he'd come home every day and he would make me a warm meal. I mean, think about how many single dads would do that. Like, just kudos to the single parents out there for sure, but to focus on the
amen.
moms. Like, and it's amazing when you talk about, she poured that into you. When we're kids, we don't get to choose the influences in our lives, like who our parents expose us to, what they say to us, all those kind of things. So again, kudos to your mom for programming you to think, you know what, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to grind it out, I'm going to be authentic and real, I'm not going to make excuses, and that's truly like epitomizes who you are today. So kudos to mom for doing that for you, man. That's awesome. Very cool.
Definitely.
Very cool. All right, so let's transition a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about sales and your career and kind of lead to those videos that you put in on LinkedIn. So talk a little bit about your career in sales. How did you get into it? What was your first job? When was your first like cold calling experience? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've talked about it plenty of times, but I started my career at a company called Worldwide Express, and I that's where
Was
I
that right
built
out of
my.
college? Was that like first?
Yeah, it's like 8 months out of college. If you want a little backstory, so I took a recruit. I think I posted about this, but I took a recruiting job right out of college. I quit within like a month. Right. I honestly, I still have nightmares about that. I still have nightmares about that job. I just hated it. So prior to that, I had to do an internship to graduate college, and I worked for a company called North American Breweries. So I had to manage like accounts bars. Right. So I quit this recruiting job. I ended up, being hired on from one of the bars that I had an internship with, right? As a promotional manager. Basically, I was a glorified bar manager. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, what the hell am I, what's going on? But I was, the lady, the manager there knew that I was looking for another job. I got a call, shout out to Chaz Oliver, for this, outside sales role with Worldwide Express. Didn't really know anything about it. Even after the first interview, I was like, what the hell do these guys do? Ended up going on a field ride for my second interview, cold for 5 hours with a guy named Sean Layton that truly impacted my entire career. I would not be here without his support and his knowledge and taking me under his wing. But the rest is history, right? I remember sitting in that car and I was like, so you're telling me all I got to do is walk through buildings, ask for owners, set meetings, save them money on shipping, and I can make a ton of money. And he was like, yeah, I was like, sign me up. And, but no, I mean, jokes aside, that's where hands down, that is where I built my career. And they gave me the fundamentals to, the front end of the sales process all the way through the end of the sale. So the full sales cycle. And I have yet to have any other company. Again, after 5 years, I trickled around in a couple different companies before starting, my own agency. But again, no company has compared to the training that Worldwide Express gave me. So, shout out to them always. I'll always give them credit for that.
Dude, that's awesome. So when you were at Worldwide Express, you were making phone calls to schedule meetings, or were you actually going door to
I was
door
going
to
door to
schedule?
we were going door to door, man. Like, so it's interesting because obviously I always think outside the box. So I was doing vertical marketing even when they didn't even know it, right? I'd be in my car. I was like, so I was figuring out ways. So we would go through, we'd have territories, we'd have to map our territories and we'd drive every day, right? Cold call. We had to get, X amount of leads. So how many leads does it take? Whatever that, whatever the case may be. So I decided, 6 months into it, not even, if I was by myself, manager wasn't with me, I was like, man, I'm just going to qualify these companies versus driving all over the map, qualify these companies to see if they're even leads. And then I'm going to map my territory and just hit warm calls. So a warm call, I already know the info, right? I already know if it's a lead. I could just walk in and say, hey, I need X person looking to speak with X person. So, but yeah, it was heavy door to door.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear you say that you went door to door because you can almost just tell the people who have had that experience. My first experience was in Portland, Oregon. I was selling office supplies, so it wasn't nearly as
That's
lucrative
tough.
as as what you were doing selling freight. But I was selling office supplies door to door in Portland. It was raining 6 months out of the year. I was wearing a suit. I guarantee there were some old ladies that bought paper just because I was soaking wet, and I was fine with it. I didn't care.
Ooh,
But man, it was tough. It's like you really learned so much to going door to door. You learn how to talk to anybody. You learn how to talk to different people, how to qualify people. You learn how to persevere, how to get the door slammed in your face. I mean, man, if you've done door to door for more than 3 months, you've been basically threatened to get out, or the police called on you, or all kinds of stuff.
I,
Everybody deals with that, right? I mean, that's just the nature of the game.
we used
But
to have contests if it was like whoever gets the cops called on him. But I will say this though, it's like, and again, you're spot on, right? It just builds. There's so much to learn when you're doing that type of sale, right? And
oh, for sure.
it's just you can't even explain it. So it's like when I hear cold calling's dead or don't pick up the phone, I kind of laugh because I was like, wait a sec. How is that bad? Right. I've literally walked through after 5 o'clock through a company door because no secretary was there, asked back office, said, hey, looking for the owner. Are you the owner? Right. So it's like when you have that and you do that a ton, you don't even care. But again, like you said, is I think that, people that have had that, I wish it probably still happens. I mean, today I know the pandemic, but I mean, I think that it sucks because people that don't have that just don't have, they just won't have that type of grit. And
Well,
again, and that's they won't be successful, but
yeah, no, exactly. I tell people this: if you want to get into sales, if you really want to do sales, go do door to door anything for a year. And whether it's selling Cutco knives, selling office supplies, doing what you did, selling, shipping, whatever it might be, like go do that for a year. You'll learn more in that year than you could learn like in 4 years of
dude,
college or working for somebody else. I mean, it's tremendous education. It's hard. I mean, it is hard. You'll find out right away if you really got the stones for sales. I'll tell you a funny story. So when I was doing door-to-door office supply sales, you'd always see those no solicitation signs up in the window. And I remember when I first started, those things would freak me out. I'd be like, I'm not going in here. I'm not. There's a sign. And I had a good friend of mine, Donnie Boyer. Shout out to Donnie Boyer in New Jersey. If you're watching, Donnie, this is credit to you. Donnie would say, "Are you kidding? Let's go." So we'd go in, and he would say, "Hey, I'm Donnie with Quill Office Supplies. What's up?" And they're like, "There's a no solicitation sign. You see it out there?" And he would say things like, yeah, I saw it, but man, it looks like old and raggedy. Like, how long have you had that thing? Like, listen, we sell brand new signs. They're bigger. You're going to keep a lot of people out of here with that. I'll just get you some toner, some paper while we're at it, save you some money. Like, he would just embrace it, right? And when you
hell
learn
yeah.
to embrace it, it becomes fun. It becomes enjoyable. So we would see how many no solicitation signs we could sell in replace of the ones that they were trying to point us to get us out of there. So it was a lot of fun. Good stories back then,
Those
man. A
are
lot of good memories.
I always find those to be the nicest people, to be honest. Or it's like funny you say is like he comes up with something witty. I'd always be like, well, us salespeople, we don't learn how to read, right? We don't know how to read. So, but
That's a
a
great one
lot of
too.
but a lot of the times, honestly, just to hit on that, I always thought in my head, seeing those signs, 9 times out of 10, because a lot of people again don't go into those, they see those and it's like, oh no, right? Or the voicemail that says we're not looking for any new vendors or new 3PLs. Those are the people that you want to call because again, they don't get a ton of cold calls and they're
Right.
usually like cool about it. So
Right. No, that's absolutely right. I mean, those are some of my favorite doors. And if you could make them laugh, you had them. Like if you could get them to be like, okay, this guy's cool. And that the thing it taught me is that people want to buy from people they like. Because if you can get somebody to like you, especially in a cold call in 10 seconds, your first impression, or you come up with something witty or whatever, And that was gold. So
It opens
again,
the door for
ah,
sure.
totally. Their daughter was awesome. I had one guy, a State Farm agent, who he was really nice to me, kept saying no, and I went back to him. And on the fifth time, he's like, "Hey, come on to my office." So I went in there, and he goes, "Listen, I just need to make sure that you're going to keep coming back at least 5 times. See if you keep coming back after a no." And after that, he dropped like $500 that day, which was a good sale for me at that time. I made like $100 off of whatever. But it was like that, just these lessons that you learn in door to door. I mean, they're hard to beat those. It's just,
You
incredible
can't.
experience.
You
No,
can't beat it.
absolutely, absolutely incredible experience without a doubt. So talk to me a little bit. So you've got some. I love some of the things that you share about what you do with cold calling, because you do some unique things. I want to point out a couple of unique things. And by the way, before we get to that, shout out to everybody watching today with the comments. Hayden, what's up, my boy? Nerf, dude, Nerf is hilarious. Nerf, if he's watching, he's going to drop some funny comments. That guy's so fun. Jace, what's up? Greg Ackner, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Love seeing Greg pop in. All right, so I want to talk about what you do that's unique. In a lot of your videos, you talk about not just the fact that you are cold calling, but that you're doing some additional work before that cold call. So I'm going to try to set it up, and I want you to spike it. So essentially, you call all the people that are involved in this decision making before you actually call the decision maker, oftentimes, or you do some research, you reach out, you email, you maybe LinkedIn message or whatever. But talk about the value of doing research before you actually make a cold call, as opposed to just pounding the phone, just smiling down. Talk a little about your process.
I mean, you have to know your target customer, right? You have to know if it's a qualified lead. That's the very first thing. It's like I could call a bunch. Everyone ships, okay? Let's face it, right? But it's like just because you ship, don't a good lead on paper even it doesn't mean it's a good lead, right? An actual
Right.
opportunity. So again, I've done it both ways. I've done it to get the decision maker, and it's like, okay, I have no information. How do you handle an objection? They're gonna hands down. I just talked about it. They're gonna spin you down. Usually, if you're talking to an executive, they're gonna be like, I don't handle shipping. But if you have an actual, case, hey, talk to John in shipping, they're doing a manual process, right? For instance, you can solve that challenge. Well, that's going to be there's a lot more meat on the bone. You've done your homework just even a little bit, right? So there's no point of, at least in my opinion, I'd rather qualify and have solid leads before I actually ask for the meeting, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that separates me and whoever else does that from the masses in our industry, because everybody's calling the shipping manager and they're asking for lanes. I don't want to be added to anything, right? I'm not selling anybody. I'm looking to, solve challenges inside your company that I am going to pull out that you might have not known you had, and then reach out to, again, the decision maker on that. So I mean, how do you sell something without having any value adds, right? You could sit here and
Yeah.
say, I could do this, 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 and this. They don't care, right? But if you could point out, some pain points that they didn't even know they had and that you could solve, and the actual financial impact that that's having on their entire organization, that's pretty powerful.
It's very powerful. And I think the lesson in all that is to start any type of interaction with a prospect by asking questions and listening. So what you do is, like, you'll go to the accountant and ask how they're processing invoices, or you'll go to other, areas and try to find out where the problems are. And then when you talk to the decision maker, you'll say, "Yeah, I spoke with Marion Accounting. She says it's taken her, 4 days a month just to process the invoices. Did you know that you could save her a lot of time in your company as well as some other?" Like, you actually bring that into the conversation, but it's because you ask questions and you listen. And it's not like you don't have to make these phone calls to other people. Like, you could just get into a meeting and start asking questions. I hate it when sales reps get in and start presenting right away. Like, what are you presenting? You don't even know what their problems are. You don't even know what they want. And you're just
Or if they
presenting what
even
you
think it's a problem, right? That's the
right.
next biggest thing. It's like, I know their challenges, but is it again, that's the one
Right.
step, right? It's one step. Okay, those are definitely challenges, and that's definitely impacting the company. Now let's see if it's enough to get them to sit down with me, right? So it's like, and it goes back into, supply chain and sales. It's like, listen, logistics is more than just getting your shipment from point A to point B. There's every piece, every department has some type of, play when it comes into supply chain, logistics, operations, right? And though that say every department's doing something wrong, it's like a ripple effect, right? It's going to impact the entire organization, not just a single department. And
That's so right.
that's the biggest. It's easy. I mean, to me, it's like, it's a no brainer, right? It's like, why wouldn't someone want to, like, sell that, right? Or bring that to the attention of, this organization. It's like, hey, I can help you do this, 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 and this. Let's sit down and have a meeting of the minds and talk about it.
Exactly. And when you do that, when you ask questions, when you dig in, it does two things for you. One, it shows like empathy and care. Like you actually care about what's going on in this company. You want to find out what the problems are. You care about what they are. And two, it gives you all the firepower you need to pitch. Like if I can get in and find out what a company's problems are, what they recognize as a problem, if I can convince them of what I'm seeing as a problem that they didn't know about, and we can agree on the problem, then I can either let them know that I have the solution, or if you're a really good salesman and you don't have the solution, you'll tell them, I don't have that solution. Right? I can't fix that problem for you. I may know some people who can, but I'm not going to waste any more of your time. But you identify the problem. I mean, that just gives you so much clout and so much like trust and respect from the prospect to say, this guy, he cares and he knows what he's doing and he's looking to solve my issues. I'll listen, I'll figure it out. And I love that.
Definitely get them thinking.
Without a doubt. So I love that. What was like, talk to me a little bit about, because this is another video you put out recently as well, is you talked about objections. So you do a good job of going through the process of identifying the problem, of pitching the solution that you guys have. But of course, sometimes people aren't going to just say yes right away. Some people do, some people don't, right? Talk a little bit about that video you put out in which you had that guy who his only objection was change. Like all he was in was like, I just don't want to change. Do you remember that video I'm talking about?
I do. So that was the easiest. So it goes back into Worldwide. I'm telling you, they trained us for everything, right? So
and Hayden says, look what Hayden says. Worldwide Dog Days creates some.
I see a couple dudes from Worldwide. Like, yeah, if you made it at Worldwide, you're a stud. Yeah, woman or dude. But no, so in Worldwide, we call that knocking a deal off the fence, right? Like, you got to find the true objection, right? So it's like like I did, is like going back over. It's like, well, price made sense, right? Service made sense. You trust me. So what's the real objection? And again, it might seem, I've been doing it for 10 years. So it was, it might come off easier, but it's a little difficult in the beginning when you're going through that, especially even just to make that call, right? Usually I'd be not every time I'd be like, earlier, I was like, oh, damn, they don't want to go with me. But, right. But no, so it was like, just again, whether they're going to go with you or not, that's, finding the true objection and knowing that, being in this situation multiple times throughout my career, change is an issue, especially when you're doing this type of sale where it's like, you're going to go with 3PL all in. And this wasn't even that big of a change, but regardless, change is change, right? I use this example as like, people don't want to change. I remember I had, we were a franchise at Worldwide. We were all going corporate. We're getting bought up. We were going from Gmail to Outlook. And I was that guy. I just didn't want to change, right? People were creatures of habit. So once I can get that out, it was like, okay, listen, I understand that. Now give me, I already had this in my head, but it's like, make them think. It's like you're thinking of an idea. It's like, oh, hey, I actually got something. Let's try this for 90 days. Because let's face it, 90 days, everything's going to be good. If they're going to use me and not switch back and forth, we're going to work out the kinks. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to go in my favor.
Yeah. But how many deals die because they're, a salesman is not willing to make that call and ask about the objections? I mean, a ton, because it's uncomfortable. That's the key right there, is if somebody says no, the next best question is, can you tell me why? Or go through like what you did. You said, hey, looked like we were good on price. Are we good on price? Yes. It looked like we were good on the technology. It's going to help you out. Is that right? Yes. Okay. So what's the real holdup right now? And asking that question can be uncomfortable, but man, it's like sometimes people just need to get that out. Like if you think about human psyche, sometimes if people have an objection, they just need to voice it. They just need to be heard and they need to process it a little bit. And once that guy processed it with you, it was like, yeah, you're right. This is silly. Let's do it. I mean, that's kind of where that went.
I mean, you basically, it's like I got him to say no in the right way, right? So it was like getting him to say, it's like, were you not happy with that? No, I was. Okay. No, I was. So it's like, again, it's just walking him through. And again, it's like you said, the biggest, I guess, challenge is just literally making the call, right? Because again, I get that email and, we all get them and I'm just like, and again, for someone new, it could, trust me, it wasn't always like that, right? I got plenty of deals in the beginning of my career where even today, you think I wanted to make that call? It's always a little bit annoying, right? It's like, man, this sucks. But it's like, here we go. And there's always some butterflies, but it's like, you do it more and more and more.
One, it's comfortable.
That's right. Reap the benefits. The benefit outweighs the any type of, nerves I have. But again, you get more comfortable with doing stuff like that, and it just becomes almost like second nature.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. What's the worst thing that could happen on that call?
Nothing.
Is that they still say no. Okay, well, we're at
I
the
got
same place
nothing.
we are now, right?
Exactly. I have nothing now. The only thing that I'd rather have a shot at getting something. So
That's right. That's absolutely right. No, it's so good. I mean, I love the fact. Here's what I love, and this is something for every salesman out there, salesman, saleswoman, whatever. It's to know human psyche, to know how people think, to understand that people buy on emotion and they justify by logic. Like that's how it works. If you go and think about I just bought I upgraded my Apple Watch. I didn't need to. Like there was no like justifying reason for it. I just wanted it because I saw a commercial. I saw something that it did that I thought, actually, here was the big thing. I want to go running without carrying my phone. So it was just, I don't want to carry my phone
usually
while I
I
run
don't.
anymore. Right. So I want to get the GPS version. So I bought it. And then now I'm like, I'm like running through justification because I'm like, oh, a new watch, that kind of thing. That's how people are. Like they buy on emotion, they justify with logic. Just understanding human psyche. It's so powerful for a salesman to do
That's
that.
the biggest thing. I mean, and again, I've always said is, people don't have to like you to buy from you. But again, it understanding, when you say understanding human psyche, it's so true. It's like, I was thinking about it today. I was like, people say a good salesperson is a good storyteller, right?
Hmm.
Well, in order to be a good storyteller, you got to have stories. I don't know why this popped up again in my head right now, but it's like, go out and start making some stories, right? It's like, start talking to some people. And it's like, that's the only way. Again, not to get all like sentimental or deep into that, but it's like, it's true. It's like, talk to every stranger you see, say something, right? It's only going to get you more comfortable with those type of situations. And I think that's the type of, mentality you have to have, especially if you really, really want to be a stud in sales or
I
anything.
feel
I mean, if you could do that, you could do pretty much anything in your life.
Yeah, no, I feel like we're coming back full circle to the door-to-door sales because those are the kind of things you learn in door-to-door sales is
I
how to
mean,
get
dude,
comfortable,
yeah.
right? I mean, it's amazing. I did read this recently, so I can't remember who it was. I think it was maybe Simon Sinek or somebody else recently talked about when you're looking to hire somebody, look for somebody who is a good communicator, who can write and speak. Because again, if you can write and speak, it means you can process, you can think, you can, figure some things out. Like there's some skills there that, like with sales, just like get comfortable being uncomfortable, get comfortable talking to people you don't know, get comfortable talking to people in the line at the store. Like when you go to, Chick-fil-A to get lunch today, talk to the person in front of you, just start up a conversation, see how, I mean, all those things just feed into your
Get
ability
weird.
to communicate.
Get weird is as weird as that sounds, but it's like I mean, again, I don't think natural talent is, I don't believe in really natural talent, but I always said is if I had some type of natural talent, I guess it would be that, right? I've always wanted to meet new people, but maybe, in my head, I didn't even know, but it's like, even to this day, it's like, I try to make people feel weird, right? It's like, I like to have a conversation with someone and they look at me and I just look at them and it's dead silent. And it's just like, I don't know. I like to put myself in those situations always because it's like, I want to be the one that knows I can handle and be composed in weird situations and they can't. And usually when the person that can't usually cracks. And again, if it's a sale, it works more in my favor.
Right, right. No, it's genius. I love what you've done, how you think about it, how you approach it. It's absolutely amazing. All right, so we're bumped up against time. I cannot believe 30 minutes just flew by, which is
Bro,
awesome. I
I
really
told you.
hope you'll come back, man, and talk more about sales and psychology of sales. I think there's a lot more we could dig into. So I really appreciate you being on the show. As we
Thanks for
head
having
out
me.
today, a couple of things real quick. So talking about storytelling, tomorrow, episode 8, my good friend Dan Hamilton is going to be on the show. I got to work with this guy. He's one of the best presenters when you're talking about just like demoing a product and telling a story and wrapping the prospect into that story. He's absolutely phenomenal. So come back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. for episode 8 to hear from my good friend Dan. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And before we go, and Michael, I told you about this earlier, I got to talk about this because we're very excited about the Word on the Street Tough Mudder Charity Challenge coming up in St. Louis, April 30th. We're raising money for an organization called Battle Buddy 3 Gun. This organization takes wounded veterans, specifically paralyzed veterans, on shooting adventures, different drills, and gives them community and hope. And each event costs $4,000. We're looking to raise $100,000 so we can sponsor 25 of those events here in 2022. And if you're a corporation that likes to give to wounded veterans, it's a tax write-off. They're a nonprofit, 501c3 organization. If you want to learn more and to give, go to my website, betaconsultinggroup.com/events. It's April 30th. We're going to be doing the Tough Mudder, 9 miles, 30 obstacles. It's a lot of training going into that. So it's pretty nuts, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Neme, I'm telling you, man, if you don't mind, I would love for you guys to consider donating as well and participating in the challenge, man. We want to get there. So I appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for being on the show, man. Just incredible
me,
stuff.
brother.
This should be an hour long, but it's going to be a half hour. Thanks to everybody for watching. We'll get Michael back on the program here in a month or two when we got an open slot. We'll look to see all of you guys tomorrow for episode 8, Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership, brought to you by Beta Consulting Group right here on LinkedIn or YouTube Live. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you
Later, brother.